I am an 18th-tier actor, and in order to hunt for curiosity, I participated in a live reality show of how my ex-boyfriend reacted when he saw that I was pregnant. I didn't expect my ex-boyfriend to be talented and make me out of the circle. When recording the pre-production film, the director asked each guest to predict the reaction of their ex-boyfriend. Others are either sad or sad, and most of them can't guess. I was the only one who immediately boasted about Heiko. My ex-boyfriend's first reaction when he saw that I was pregnant with someone else's child was definitely to look up to the sky and smile. Director, why? Because he's finally got rid of this decades-long nightmare of mine. Director, what do you mean by decades of nightmares? I looked at the camera proudly, because after the breakup, I cut off 800 peach blossoms for him. The director's expression was horrified. How old are you this year? 23. There is no early love, and it can be broadcast. I had a crush on him for more than 10 years, and we broke up just one day after I turned positive. The director breathed a sigh of relief. Why did you break up? I'm cheating. The director was overjoyed. Haven't you had a crush on him for more than 10 years? Why do you want to cheat when you just turned positive? I said impatiently, Director, the other guests have left. Can we still shoot? The director showed me the teleprompter. Let's talk about it. Satisfy the audience's curiosity, and it's up to you to break the point. As soon as I saw that I could explode, my impatience was instantly swept away. Because he can't. The director burst out laughing, and asked me, is it inconvenient for you to expand and talk about it? I've been thick-skinned since I was a child, and I don't know what it means to be shy, so I grinned. If you're not worried about the ban on the live broadcast room, I'll talk about it. The director hesitated. Why don't you tell me euphemistically first? I pursed my lips, thought about the wording for 3 minutes, and said, on the day of the change, I asked him to go to the hotel, but he twisted and pinched, and disagreed, and I must have been dissatisfied with my age, so I found a man at the bar, and I took off his clothes. Later, I was forcibly silenced by the director. Before leaving, the director repeatedly reminded me to pay attention to the scale, and I nodded my head to indicate that I understood. I was forcibly put on a 6 or 7-month-old fake belly by the staff, disguised as live broadcast equipment, and went to the morgue at night with a few camera brothers dressed like men in black. As soon as they arrived at the door, the tall camera brothers didn't dare to leave. The director's voice came through the headphones. What are you doing in the morgue? I was amazed. My ex-boyfriend is a forensic doctor, who works here a lot, and recently he was giving an anatomy class to medical students here. When you go in later, you have to respect the general teacher, and don't shoot what you shouldn't. Crowd. The camera brothers thought to themselves, they have to dare to shoot. I looked disdainfully at the camera brothers, who looked 5 big and 3 thick but kept moving backwards. Why don't you give me the camera, and I'll go in by myself? The director saw that I had the largest audience in the live broadcast room, and the barrage was also very hot, so he ordered everyone to follow me. I'm a regular visitor here, and the security guard just let me in. We made our way to the morgue unhindered, and as soon as we opened the door, I saw my ex-boyfriend with a bloody heart in his hand, and words in his mouth. The heart muscle is hypertrophied, and I had a serious heart disease before I died. Crowd. My ex-boyfriend didn't like to be disturbed in class, and when he saw me, he was stunned at first, and then said to the students, let's go here today, and get out of class. The students greeted me as they walked out. Hello, teacher. I smiled kindly. Good, good. When the students were all gone, Griffith Grote put down his heart, took off his gloves, and sanitized his hands. After doing all the cleaning steps, come to me. I preemptively struck before he could speak. I'm pregnant. Griffith Grote frowned. 800 cameras were secretly staring at him at the moment. The audience in the live broadcast room was obsessed with Griffith Grote's beauty and wondered how the handsome guy would react. The handsome guy looked at me, like a big fool with a gloomy face. You just came to the great aunt yesterday, and you got pregnant today. The live broadcast room exploded directly because of my ex-boyfriend's words, and the audience and fans swished. But I didn't know it at the time. I just heard the director screaming like a eunuch. I thought he was scared of my revelations, and with a look of contempt, he looked up at Griffith Grote with the tip of his chin tilted. You're a forensic doctor. Can't you study me by the way when you study the dead? The fertilized egg also bleeds when it implants. Knock on the blackboard. This is a knowledge point. Griffith Grote's eyes narrowed slightly, like a beautiful old fox, and he straightened my chin with his glowing white hands. By the way, he wiped off the small flying insect that landed on my collarbone with an alcohol wipe, and said in a low voice, "You have also followed me in medical class for a year, and the amount of bleeding from the implantation of the fertilized egg is indistinguishable." The barrage boiled again, and began to swipe the screen frantically. Innocent old man, I can be a handsome guy with a poisonous tongue. Cute little boar, I love the abstinent schoolboy. Beautiful girl Crusoe, uniform temptation rush. The director is already on the verge of becoming a groundhog. Only I was very calm, holding my big belly crossed, like a grasshopper after autumn, with a proud face. I'm sorry, my mother is a scumbag in face control. I just look at you in class. How can I have the heart to listen to the class? When I say pregnant, I am pregnant. In 2 months, you'll be my baby's godfather. Barrage. Griffith Grote hooked her lips and nodded my forehead as if she were teaching a puppy. Yes, you know that you are a scumbag, and your greatest strength is self-knowledge. I snorted. How could I not see that Griffith Grote was laughing at me? Like a thief, I leaned into Griffith Grote's ear and whispered, "You don't have a yin and yang weirdness. Do I understand this called Lyran?" Griffith Grote raised an eyebrow. There are still 255 people in the entertainment industry. I glared at Griffith Grote viciously and corrected, "Stupid and cute beautiful girl character." Griffith Grote chuckled, more. I didn't hear Griffith Grote sarcastically mocking me, because I suddenly reacted to something. "No, how do you know I'm coming to my aunt? You snuck into my bed last night." Because of my self-detonation, the barrage suddenly cleared automatically, and everyone was quietly peeping at the screen. Griffith Grote's eyes were dark, and he leaned slightly into my ear. "Last night there was thunder, and you climbed into my bed in a daze, took off my clothes, put your arms around my waist, and touched my..." Just as it was about the excitement, the live broadcast room was suddenly silenced. The barrage exploded in an instant. Grinding little wildcat, is there anything that the old lady can't hear? The years are an electric shovel. I have money, broadcast it to me. My aunt and grandmother like to be improper. I'll listen to the follow-up with 100 million. I don't know what's going on in the live broadcast room. I just know that Griffith Grote is not ashamed, and the more he talks about it, the more outrageous it becomes. I was so scared that I covered his mouth. "Shhhhhh." Griffith Grote frowned and looked at me puzzled. I whispered, "The wall has ears." Before I could finish my sentence, I heard the director screaming for me to let go of the man, reassuring Griffith Grote to say that he had silenced the live broadcast room. I always felt that something was wrong, and I didn't react for a while. So I listened to the director's demagogy, let go of Griffith Grote's mouth, and looked my ex-boyfriend up and down with a look of disgust. "You go on. What the hell did I do to you?" "First of all, I won't be responsible." Griffith Grote curled her lower lip, crossed her arms, and looked at me with a smirk. "You got the blood from my sheets and pajama pants, or do you think?" I was stunned. It was really thunderous. The director didn't know when he cancelled the silence in the live broadcast room, and he didn't notify me. I was very self-indulgent at the time, and I thought that the audience didn't hear it anyway, and now it's up to me to see the show. So I grabbed Griffith Grote by the collar, and used my life's work to play a fierce expression of being slept by my ex-boyfriend, with a look of shock, and threatened to beat people. Of course, this is all for the audience in the live broadcast room. At the moment, my mouth trembled more than the little wildflowers on the side of the road. "Big brother, I was wrong. I will wash your bed sheets and pants. Don't drive me away. My mother said that I have a bloody disaster this year, and I must live with you for 100 days to resolve it." 99 days away from 100 days. Speaking of this bloody disaster, of course, I spit on my face and don't believe it. But my mom said that if you don't do it, you'll hide me. As an aside, the brokerage company I am working for now is owned by my mother. So for the sake of my future, I took all my belongings, and a cat, and lived in Griffith Grote's house with a dead face. Yesterday was the first day. Griffith Grote looked at my schizophrenic acting, sighed helplessly, and slammed the door of the morgue with a thud. The atmosphere in the room suddenly became a little eerie. A small cool breeze was blowing, and the roof of the shed was still heard from time to time with the sound of rustling footsteps. Griffith Grote came to my side, looked at me with a grim expression like a corpse, and said in a low voice, "I don't want to wash the sheets myself, so I'll make it clear right away, what's going on with all these stupid things that sneak around and think I can't see. I shrunk my neck in embarrassment, looking back at the black-clothed camera brothers, who were squatting in all corners of the morgue, like some dirty thing. The corners of his mouth couldn't help twitching. To be honest, their ghost looks are more terrifying than the corpses that have just been dismantled in the morgue. It's also the first time I've seen a program group with such a low IQ. Now, I don't pretend anymore, straighten up and go straight to the showdown. What about the live broadcast? They are my exclusive and shooting teacher. In front of Griffith Grote, the pretense must be pushed to the end. The director immediately shouted, "What did you tell him? Isn't that a goof?" I gave a middle finger to one of the shivering camera guys. "Are you legally blind? Secretly filming is infringing. My ex-boyfriend is super cautious. If you don't kneel down and ask for his permission, he will sue you and block your show." The director was blinded, crying and chirping, "Can't you block it? The live broadcast room has exploded, and you're about to catch fire. Why don't you hurry up and kneel down and beg him?" As soon as I heard the show, I was instantly as happy as a piao, walking around the morgue. I didn't like to come to this show earlier, but I'm an actor, majoring in acting. How can I participate in this kind of brainless reality show? It was my mother, who said that this show was suitable for me, and it would definitely explode, so I came. Unexpectedly, my mother really has two brushes. Just when I fantasized about becoming an A-list actress, and making a stunning work with my male god "I love you, you don't love me, she loves her," Griffith Grote's eerie voice suddenly came to my ears. "Ex-boyfriend. Super cautious." I curled my neck and stopped spinning in circles, glancing at Griffith Grote in embarrassment and distraction. Griffith Grote smiled coldly. "Iris Esther, explain, when am I going to be your ex-boyfriend?" I was so frightened by Griffith Grote's terrible eyes, that I subconsciously took a step back, and almost missed stepping on the camera brother behind me. Griffith Grote was laughing, but I knew he was so angry that he was about to take a scalpel. "I'm afraid he'll be unhappy, and drive me out of the house." After thinking about it for a long time, he explained for a long time. "Then it's an ex-boyfriend." Griffith Grote's face became even more ugly, and he picked up the scalpel in his right hand, and took a step forward. He expertly attached the scalpel blade with his left hand, and looked at me with heavy eyes. "Say it again." I took another step back, and behind me I heard the muffled grunt of the cameraman. I looked at Griffith Grote with a weak heart. "That doesn't mean you're a former ex-boyfriend, or a former ex-boyfriend. It's so nice to say." Griffith Grote laughed angrily, slammed the scalpel into the tray, and said coldly, "Iris Esther, you can do it." After he finished speaking, he turned around with a cold face and left. The morgue was deprived of the cold-faced Griffith Grote, and suddenly even the air was fresh, and I took 2 deep breaths. Before he could spit it out, the director's angry voice came to his ears. "The actor is gone. You don't chase it out. What are you waiting for?" I was stunned. Isn't this a big heroine? The director almost made me angry. "If you instigate the live broadcast room, the people will run out. Hurry up and chase after it." As soon as I heard that my popularity was going to be gone, how could I think about it so much? Holding my big belly, and chasing after me. It stands to reason that Griffith Grote's long legs, after walking out for so long, must have been out of the funeral home door a long time ago. As soon as I stepped out of the door of the morgue, I caught up with someone. "Wait, the live broadcast isn't over yet. Where are you going?" Griffith Grote had stood still, heard what I was saying, and walked briskly outside. I trotted forward, but my left foot tripped over my right foot, and I fell straight into a. Seeing that Griffith Grote was about to disappear, I was inspired to let out a wail. "Griffith Grote, help! My kid has fallen out of shape." Baraz. Here's another price. It's outrageous for a child to step on a horse when he falls out of shape. Dalmatian on the prairie, 205 people have set up. What a small wildflower in the south of the Yangtze River. I'm going to laugh to death for this stupid and cute girl. I was lying on my stomach at the moment, wailing and watching Griffith Grote's every move. At the third of my horn, Griffith Grote's shoulders shook and he spoke. Halfway after, "If you don't roll over, your baby will be born." Sunshine Dark Horse, poof. These two are a perfect match. Portia's little feet, I feel like I've seen aliens in love. Factor in the sea, I want to watch the two of them live and have a baby. I didn't know at the time that the barrage had gone off to Mars. Otherwise I wouldn't have done the second-hand behavior that will be passed down forever. I watched Griffith Grote descend the stairs, and with a big face, I crawled forward with my stomach in my arms. That day, I happened to be wearing a white dress and white pants, and my hair was disheveled. According to my fans later, I looked like a dinosaur in an ancient tomb. It was from that moment that they discovered my excellent and beautiful amazing genes, and they were deeply attracted to me, and they couldn't extricate themselves. Of course, that's all for later. I was lying on the ground looking at Griffith Grote, and noticed that he was not particularly good looking, and I was about to continue to apologize. Who knew that the director kept chattering in his ears? Director, ask him why he's angry. Me. I thought it was outrageous at the time. You made a person angry, and I don't know why. And you still asked with a face. Isn't this adding fuel to the fire? But I asked, why are you angry? Sure enough, Griffith Grote heard me and looked down at my shape, and his face suddenly darkened. Griffith Grote grimaced. Dirty. This kid has a heavy cleanliness habit. And when I heard this, I hurriedly stood up, took his hand, and put it on my fake belly. It looks like the child is about to be born. You can show it. Poof. Griffith Grote couldn't hold back. Laughing angrily, he pulled out his hand, and smacked me on the forehead. You're heartless. I rubbed my forehead and pursed my lips and retorted. I'm not afraid that you will be angry and make you happy. Do you really think I'm stupid? The barrage nodded at the same frequency as Griffith Grote. You don't know why I'm angry? Griffith Grote asked suddenly. I shook my head. Griffith Grote frowned. What did you promise when you climbed into my bed last night? And you forgot it. My eyes were confused. I really didn't remember. I was afraid of thunder since I was a child, and I slept deadly. God knows how I slept so deep and still hear the thunder, and climb into Griffith Grote's bed with my eyes closed. Griffith Grote's expression suddenly became very exciting, comparable to the seemingly beautiful mountain of Kowloon, which can avalanche at any moment, as I and the audience watched curiously. Griffith Grote was serious about helping me generate ratings. I told you to get down, but you knelt in front of me and begged to get back together, and vowed never to break up with me again. Otherwise your fans will be thundered by the sky. Me. I was stunned for a fraction of a second, and then it dawned on me that Griffith Grote was talking nonsense. Let's not talk about whether this is true if I swear by my fans. I am a dignified female star. Can I kneel down for him? I held my stomach with my left hand, and my waist with my right hand, and retorted sternly, absolutely impossible. I have a total of 50,013 followers on Weibo. Griffith Grote looked at me quizzically. So what? Are you complaining that you have few followers? And it doesn't matter if you die? I rolled my eyes, snapped my fingers, and explained to the camera brother, audience, don't listen to his nonsense. These 50,013 fans, of which 50,000 are zombie fans that I spent money on, and then get rid of my mother and my assistant. I have a total of 11 iron fans. Such a rare baby bump. Can I swear by them? He invited my idol Thor, and I couldn't bear to let him chop it. The barrage was full of laughter, because of my strange speech. The deformed trash can, poof. I'll just say how come there are still bits and pieces. The child fell and deformed, laughed to death. Let's just say, I have more fans selling socks than her. Beautiful and generous dry, I decided to be her 12th fan. I had no idea that I was also a blessing in disguise to have gained a fan. I saw that Griffith Grote had an ugly face, and it was obvious that he was angry again, like a pufferfish, and he was very angry. I reflected for nearly 30 seconds, but I didn't realize how I had provoked him. Is it because I have too few fans, that his plan to frame me has failed? I was about to say a few words of comfort, so that he would not affect the innocent. Who knew that Griffith Grote, a big fool, would take revenge and kill him directly? I saw him take out his mobile phone and sneer. I knew you wouldn't admit it, so I recorded a video. My head was so big that before I could react, I heard my bold voice coming from the video. I swear, if I was in a panic. I managed to save up 11 fans, but I couldn't kill them. To save my career, I swooped up to Griffith Grote in a 100-meter sprint, and hit the pause button. The air was still for a few seconds, and I just breathed a sigh of relief. But when I saw the screen of my phone, my eyes widened infinitely. When I watched the replay later, I found that I was so angry that my hair was blown into a feather duster. This is the video of me swearing. Isn't this a small clip from a TV series I just released earlier? The old fox lied to me. I wanted to click on the video to clarify with the viewer, but Griffith Grote was one step ahead of me and put the phone in his pocket. The smug expression clearly said, "I just took advantage of the fire to rob. What can you do with me?" I didn't think much of it at the time, and I instinctively went up to grab it. Griffith Grote dodged, but I shoved him against the wall. I laughed wildly. "Look, I'll see where you're going." With that, the claws reached out towards Griffith Grote. Griffith Grote snorted, his voice hoarse, and the words he uttered were intriguing. "Where's the live broadcast? Where are you going?" I looked at Griffith Grote's hand as far away as the Pacific Ocean, and my mind was full of question marks. What did I touch me? But the audience didn't know that I didn't do anything, and our coquettish position just blocked the key parts. The barrage began to gradually metamorphose. "I'm a fan of 255, help, she's so lewd, I like it so much. Live broadcast to give birth, baby. Don't be cowardly, give it to me. I'm a serious fan, whoa, hurry up." In my ear, the director's tone excitedly reminded me to pay attention to the scale. I had to let go of Griffith Grote with a cold face. Griffith Grote faked her white coat and pulled it off. I laughed angrily. Even more infuriating is yet to come. I saw Griffith Grote look at me in a flirtatious tone. "Baby, don't worry, there are many people here. I'll go home and wait for you." I couldn't help but explode. "I'm going to use you and wait." Griffith Grote looked at me with a smirk. "I really don't have to wait." I glared at Griffith Grote, my mind tingling, and I snapped into action. "I don't have the keys to his house. The day before yesterday, when I mentioned breaking up, I threw the key in his face and ran away. I was on my way for a long time. Then I'll try to get as soon as possible." Griffith Grote patted me on the head in satisfaction, and walked away without looking back. And when he reached the gate, he looked coldly at the camera brother, who was sneaking after him. I have limited patience, and told them not to follow. The cameraman was so frightened that he immediately squatted on the ground, like a helpless second fool. Griffith Grote looked at me after threatening the director. "By the way, say hello to your 10 fans for me." The corners of my forehead twitched with anger, and I took off my shoes, and threw them at the back of Griffith Grote's head, swearing, "My lady has 11 fans. 11. You were taught math by a physical education teacher." It was Griffith Grote, who answered me with a contemptuous laugh that echoed infinitely through the morgue. I was so angry that the child was about to fall off, so I manually dragged it up. When I thought about it, the male protagonist had withdrawn, and I was still pretending to be a fart. I dragged my child out with a hideous face. "Barrage, fragrant morgue, who wants to watch the live broadcast and have a baby?" The potato couldn't stand the stimulation. "It's exciting. The iron fan of the stupid and cute beautiful girl, my family treasure, is out." And it took less than 2 hours from pregnancy to childbirth. Later, I found out that because this video excerpt was wildly reprinted, I was on the hot search in less than half an hour. The headline is, "Female celebrities violently give birth to children." Of course, that's all for later. I'm in the game now, and I'm blind. The male protagonist quit halfway, and the camera brothers didn't dare to continue to shoot. The live stream can only go so far. I originally wanted to explain to the camera brother how much I love my fans and so on, so that fans and friends who are obsessed with me must not have a psychological burden. Who knows that the director didn't let me say it at all. One question after another, crackling at me. Forward, forward, forward. What does boyfriend mean? How many ex-boyfriends do you have? Why the hell did you two break up? Are you two back together now? I didn't want to deal with it, but the director said that it was asked for fans and friends. I had an idea and decided to take the opportunity to set up a favorite fan persona, so as to break the rumors that Griffith Grote created for me, and temporarily opened a live broadcast answering session. This was my solo live streaming debut, and I sent a private message to my fan base before the broadcast, asking them to come and cheer me on. My fans ask me what the subject is. I replied in an unfathomable way, "Talk about my ex-boyfriend and his goddess, and the 2 or 3 things about me being a third party." Repeatedly, 10 of the 11 fans expressed their excitement and immediately responded to my support. There is also a young lady. She is my first fan, and she has been a fan of me since I entered the industry. She is introverted and does not like to talk, but every time I had an event, she was there, and she never fell behind. It's a pity that I never met her." "I don't think," she replied. "I guess something can't come. And I think it's a pity, because although this sister is introverted, she speaks for the scumbag every time. I suspect she's a love brain in her life. I also want to popularize my scumbag ex-boyfriend to her so that she can learn a lesson." I put away my phone, and asked the cameraman to move a chair for me, and put it at the door of the morgue. But because I was sitting at an angle, I was just able to photograph the inside of the morgue. The camera brother, who was shooting in front of me, was shaking his hands so much that he was about to shake out the overnight meal. I have requirements for my image, so I took advantage of the fire and threatened, "Brother cameraman, if your hands are shaking again, let's go into the morgue and broadcast live." When the cameraman heard this, it was like eating a Snickers, and he instantly stabilized. I could even see the muscles on his shoulders crumbling. I looked at the camera with satisfaction and began to speak. "Speaking of Griffith Grote, he is actually my first love. We have known each other since childhood, when I was like a flower, a shy flower, wearing small floral pants, a big yellow tank top, like a doll." The barrage let out a burst of wild laughter. Drifting text D, a doll in a big yellow vest and big pants. Stupid and cute beautiful girl's newborn child. My mother has been domineering since she was a child. The director was so angry that he scolded in the live broadcast room, "You hurry up and get straight to the point for me." I rolled my eyes. "We broke up. I mentioned it, but it's gone. Director, the barrage is ha 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 ha. King my, director, she just gave birth to a child and is emotionally unstable. What are you messing with her?" I didn't know the reaction of the live broadcast room at the time, but I only heard the director begging me in a low voice, with ear monitors, to let me continue to tell the story. I snorted and decided to forgive him for the time being and continue the story. "The first time we broke up was in my freshman year. I just confessed during the day, and we broke up at night." "Director, stop. What do you mean to break up for the first time?" I was a little impatient, thinking that the director was not only ugly, but also had a bad brain, and I even suspected that he lied to me when he said that the show was popular. I didn't feel good and said, "It's literal. If you interrupt me again, I'll be off work." The director pretended to be a grandson in the ear back. "Auntie, you say it," I snorted. On the first day of our date, it was a stormy day, and I was standing on the road eating a barbecue when it suddenly started to hail in the sky. My phone was running out of battery and I was afraid that he wouldn't find me, so I stood on the road for 2 hours with hail, but he didn't come. Later, in a fit of rage, I found a man to go to the hotel, and when he came to pick me up, I had just come out of the bathroom with my hair disheveled, and before he could say anything, I broke up. When I said this, I was a little smug, but I realized that I should be sad and angry at this moment, and I started to brew emotions. Who would have thought that before I could finish brewing, someone suddenly stood next to me, and the sound of panting breathing disturbed me. I thought to myself, who was so blind, and tears scared me back. "I'll put this live broadcast on the spot. Buddy, you're all in the picture." The other party didn't say anything, and I looked up along his long legs. Then I saw him wearing a shoddy but neat suit, that looked like a rented suit, and the funny thing was that he had a pink flower with, "Best Man," written on his chest. This man rushed to the morgue in the middle of the night to attend the wedding. I continued to look up and saw a familiar face. Where have you not seen me? It's so fascinating to watch, listening to the tone of this poisonous tongue. Who is not Griffith Grote? I was so frightened that I stepped back half a meter away. "You dress like this in the middle of the night, and you made a dark ghost shape. Could it be that the forensic doctor is also responsible for the ghost marriage?" Griffith Grote's face was not very good looking, and he pulled the best man flower off his chest. "I heard that you're running a live broadcast here, so I'm here to join in the fun," Griffith Grote said, moving a chair and sitting next to me. When I heard it, my heart suddenly became empty, and I said bad things about him behind my back, and I could talk about it for 3 days and 3 nights, and say that I was cowardly to my face. Who said I'm going to do a live show? Nothing. I hugged the freshly baked baby, and tried to run away despite the director's rebuttal. But I was stumped by Griffith Grote's words. Excuse me, which is my goddess? I jerked my head back and looked at Griffith Grote incredulously. If I'm not mistaken, I shouldn't have talked about the goddess just now, right? I couldn't see the reason for Griffith Grote's deep eyes, and my heart was stunned. Griffith Grote sneered, when he saw that I was silent, and his leather shoes tapped on the floor. You've been a third party behind my back. My brain buzzed, and I finished talking about calves. How exactly does Griffith Grote know what I'm chatting with my followers? Although all my fans are a little lacking in heart, they don't have to pick their character. This kind of self-congratulatory little theme that can only be digested internally is absolutely impossible to spread outward. Now I can't leave if I want to, and if I don't explain it clearly, my acting career will be over. My 11 fans will cry and faint in the toilet from then on. The director roared wildly in the ear monitor, saying that the live broadcast room was blown up by me to a new height, asked me to expand the topic of the third party, and comforted me. Black and red are also red. I was devastated, like a zombie, and moved to Griffith Grote with a black face. Sit down. Get in my way, Griffith Grote whispered. Me. I really couldn't hold back and didn't beat him, but I was uncomfortable if I didn't let my temper go. So I gave the child in my arms a 360-degree hook. In the end, he didn't hold it, and the kid swooped off Griffith Grote's face. I certainly didn't mean to, but I laughed wildly. The air was quiet, and I was in a good mood. But there was always the 205 that annoyed me, like Griffith Grote, the big handsome guy. I saw Griffith Grote catch my fake belly and slap it knowingly. Don't cry, girl. Domestic violence is a crime. And when your father finishes interrogating your mother, I will help you check your injuries. I was so angry that I was starting to have trouble breathing, and Griffith Grote looked at me lightly. Let's continue to talk about the third party. My face froze, and I knew that I couldn't dodge the big trick of letting go of the child. So I broke the jar directly, and was ready to vent all the bitter history of my relationship with Griffith Grote over the years tonight. I stilted my legs and looked at Griffith Grote contemptuously. Why are you embarrassed to ask me with a big face? We broke up 99 times. 98 times because of your goddess. Am I not a third party? The more I talked, the more I squatted on top of the chair, like Tarzan of the Apes. The index finger snuggled against Griffith Grote's face. Gushing, I said, taking a step forward, almost falling out of my chair. And thanks to Griffith Grote holding me, I leaned on his shoulder and continued to sanction him. Why do you have to provoke me? I'm good looking. Do you want to see it? I was expecting to see Griffith Grote's weak expression. No matter how bad it was, I should have been surprised or annoyed, right? As a result, his old man looked dazed. When did I agree to break up with you? 99 times. Griffith Grote can't fix it for me. I thought about it for a long time before I reacted. Isn't this the last topic? Play stupid with me. Every time we break up, I write it down in a small notebook. Don't try to deny it. After I finished speaking, ran to the assistant, took out the little turtle bag that I had carried for 10,000 years, and took out a small green rape flower notebook. I drew my eyes with my index and middle fingers, and then to Griffith Grote, defiant. Then I crouched down in front of the cameraman who had eaten Snickers, and began to read my breakup with Griffith Grote. In 2019, in the second semester of my freshman year, I confessed to my bread. Speaking of which, I looked up and explained to the audience. The bread is Griffith Grote. Don't look at how human he looks now. He was a cribbaby when I was a kid, crying and sticking to the back of my ass every day. The director's forehead twitched, and he reminded as gently as possible, I'm off topic. Keep reading. I made an okay gesture and continued. After I took the man to the hotel that night, the little bread came to me, but he actually came with a girl. That girl I saw on the school confession wall. It was the school flower of our school, although she didn't look as good looking as me, but the body was crooked, and at first glance it was the type I couldn't do. She hooked up with my man, and greeted me delicately. I was so angry that I broke up. When I finished, I turned my head to look at Griffith Grote. If you're not Alzheimer's or menopause, don't tell me you forgot. Who knew? Griffith Grote looked at me with a strange expression. You said Sybil Noah was my goddess. I frowned, suspecting that I had a communication problem with Griffith Grote. Wasn't it just about 99 breakups? Why did I talk about the goddess again? I'm a little blind, but that doesn't stop me from being sarcastic about him. You stinky shell. What's the matter? Thinking of your goddess. Your heart is overjoyed. Griffith Grote frowned, looked at me with disgust, and said, you did mention breaking up, but I didn't agree. I was so angry that I grabbed my Tianling guy. This Wang Ba calf and I didn't answer the question. I thought about it and decided to see the trick, and draw a middle finger to Griffith Grote. Although you didn't agree, you didn't object, and if you don't object, you acquiesce. Griffith Grote was silent for a moment, then suddenly asked, that was the first time you met Sybil Noah? I gritted my teeth and looked at Griffith Grote, almost smoothing out my crooked wisdom teeth. Do you think everyone is like you, and interested in dung balls? I was angry, but I said it in a huff, and Griffith Grote laughed, and he actually laughed. I rolled my eyes in anger and pinched my middle until I pinched out a field in my middle and I relented. Griffith Grote looked at my look, pinched her eyebrows, and said helplessly, if I'm not mistaken, you broke up with me at 11:59, but we reconciled the next day. I cocked my neck and retorted, that's the next day. Griffith Grote chuckled. Indeed, you made it to 03 a.m. the next morning, so that I didn't even have time to say no. And you asked me again if I wanted to have a relationship. Director, poof. Just a minute, Baraz. I blushed a little, thinking that Griffith Grote just said that he didn't have time to disagree, which means that he didn't want to break up with me that time. I accidentally let go of my heart for a moment, and then I became angry. That's me serious about feelings. Unlike you, eating from the pot and looking at the pit. Griffith Grote laughed again. The pit in the pot is full of rice buckets. I was so angry that I opened my breakup record, and continued to complain. On October the 8th, 2019, I broke up with Zyobreed again, because he took the milk tea with the words, sweet honey I love you, from his goddess in front of me, and drank it in front of me. Griffith Grote was silent this time. I thought to myself, he finally knows how much of a bastard he is. Right. As a result, Griffith Grote looked at me very seriously. Did you break up with me that time? Me. I felt like he was humiliating me, and I ran over to him, and grabbed him by the hair and yelled, I said it. I obviously changed the ringtone of the incoming call, in front of you from I love you dear girl, to a happy breakup. The corners of Griffith Grote's mouth twitched, freeing his hair from my grasp. Seeing that I turned blue with anger, I put my hand in his hair again. I rubbed his hair into a chicken nest. Griffith Grote was helpless and explained, didn't I buy you a big cup of milk tea to compensate you? I snorted, but you didn't write fleshy words. Griffith Grote looked at me, with a smirk on his old fox face again. So didn't you bite me in the mouth to get revenge on me? I was so frightened that I covered Griffith Grote's mouth. If this show is banned, I'll tear your mouth apart. Who are you biting after that? Griffith Grote said, pouting as if he were nothing. My eyes were stunned. Beautiful man, I can't be fooled. 5 minutes later, the director scolded, Iris Esther, take your claws off Griffith Grote's mouth. If the show is banned, I will pull you as a backing for the hell. I withdrew my hand in embarrassment and glared at Griffith Grote in disgust. Griffith Grote licked the corners of her lower lip, becoming more and more shameless. The director didn't dare to scold Griffith Grote, nor did he dare to me off, so he could only angrily ask me to continue reading the breakup record. The third time I broke up with Xiao Bread, it was because he participated in a school performance, and the heroine was his goddess. And this time I broke up, and broke up for 2 minutes. Watched the crosstalk performed by the two of them with tears. Edison's cat, it's out. I suspect 99 breakups, and the total duration is no more than 2 hours. Miss, upstairs, it's too much. I'll bet for an hour at most. Funny duo, acting in crosstalk is a god. Just as I was about to read half of the breakup in one sitting, Griffith Grote patted me on the head. Wait a minute, Godfather said that today is a good day, so I must propose before 12 o'clock. I froze for a fraction of a second and looked at Griffith Grote in disbelief. You're going to propose to me? Griffith Grote juggled a velvet box out of her clothes, that was too old to discern the color, and placed it in front of me. My eyes were full of surprise, and I looked at the ring box on the table in a daze. There was no doubt that I wanted to marry Griffith Grote, and I liked him so much that I was reluctant to part with even the other woman he had in mind. Every time I broke up, I was afraid that he would really nod yes. So I didn't even last a few minutes before I reversed myself. I also wondered. I have a happy family and grew up in a happy environment. My dads are petite, I'm stupid, and I'm very harmonious. But I'm inherently insecure, especially with Griffith Grote. Maybe it's because he's so good that I can't even catch up with me when I run hard. I did a lot of stupid things to love Griffith Grote. I submitted a transfer request. I went to Griffith Grote's medical class. I found that I had exhausted my brain, and I couldn't even remember how many bones a human might have. I knew at that time that I would only be able to eat with my face for the rest of my life. 99 times they broke up, and Griffith Grote was silent 99 times. I guess he's so smart that he can't fail to see how much I care about Sybil Noah. But he still didn't know Sybil Noah. He didn't cross the line. It doesn't mean that he doesn't love. Maybe he just doesn't want to hurt me. Griffith Grote saw my unusual silence, and a look of panic crossed her eyes. He hesitated, snatched the breakup record from my hand, squatted in front of the Snickers camera brother, and began to read. The first time we broke up, the reason why I took Sybil Noah to the hotel with me was because she said that you are her goddess, and I am not worthy of you. And she has a bunch of pictures of men to pick for you. It was a big hailstorm, and I ran a few blocks to catch up with her. I saw you follow a man into the hotel. The second breakup. Sybil Noah's cup full of milk tea, that says I love you, with your name on the back. I'm stunned again. Sybil Noah is demonstrating with me. Draw a circle and curse me. The third time I broke up, it was because you had to be the leading actor, and I was afraid that Sybil Noah would take the opportunity to harass you, so I volunteered to participate. As a result, you drool just at Sybil Noah. Me. I had a mouth ulcer that day and I couldn't control my drooling. What did I call my drooling at Sybil Noah? The fourth time we broke up, Sybil Noah wanted to take a seat for you, and I robbed you. I pressed you to my right, and didn't let Sybil Noah see you for the whole lesson. Me. Isn't this style wrong? The fifth time we broke up, Sybil Noah was going to bring you dumplings, and I fed the dogs. I made dumplings for you, and the wontons you said you bought were all broken. Bad reviews. The sixth time we broke up, Sybil Noah sent you a concert ticket for me to eat. You didn't say it was Sybil Noah who sent me a love letter. The seventh breakup. Sybil Noah wants to. I jerked to my feet. Stop. What are you talking about? There's another one at our school named Sybil Noah. Griffith Grote looked at me helplessly. Sybil Noah has always admired you, and he still dissed me on the school confession wall, openly asking you to marry. I thought you knew. My mind twitched, and my face was terrified. That confession wall is on fire, and it turned out to be for me to marry. Griffith Grote snorted coldly and said angrily, "So, now do you know how hard I've worked to pinch your peach blossoms all these years? Even the women have to be guarded." My mind was running out of ideas. So I've been jealous of my own admirers for more than 3 years. She's a delicate schoolgirl. Why does she worship me? Griffith Grote tapped me on the head. You saved her before. You forgot. What's the use of being pretty? It's not empty. You're so stupid. If you don't marry me in the future, your child is even more stupid than you. I silently glanced at Griffith Grote's fake belly in her arms, and I didn't think it was necessarily. I remembered one more thing. Then why have you been silent after I told you so many breakups? Griffith Grote looked weird. Every time you see Sybil Noah, you break up with me. Ahem. I thought you didn't think I was worthy of you. I looked at the tips of Griffith Grote's ears, that were quietly reddening, and I felt that smugness in my heart. Griffith Grote thinks he's not worthy of me. After thinking about it, I suddenly said, "Then let's break up." Griffith Grote was stunned for a moment, and then said after a long silence, "Good. Me. I regret it now that it's too late." I just want to hear him say categorically that he can't break up. Why is it more difficult than finding lice on a bald head? Before I was about to explode and kill Griffith Grote pulled out a small cloth bag. My eyes widened, and that little cloth bag I had seen before. It was my mother's, and it contained my household registration book. 3 years ago, as soon as I took Griffith Grote down, my mom took the household register with me. She said that I had just taken down Griffith Grote, and that I was going mad, and that I was afraid that I would steal the household registration book and kidnap Griffith Grote to get married, so I would take it out and hide it. The Huku book that has been hidden for 3 years is hidden in the hands of Griffith Grote. Sure enough, Griffith Grote pulled the household registration book out of his bag. Auntie said that tomorrow is suitable for marriage, and if it is too late, it will be half a year. Since we have broken up, it is time to change the relationship. Let's register tomorrow. A rampant smile tugged at the corners of my mouth. Isn't it a marriage proposal? How can I register directly? I'm reserved. As I spoke, I opened the ring box very unreservedly, and prepared to put it on myself. But I found out which one was the ring inside. I want to ask, do you call this black thing a ring of unknown material? Griffith Grote sighed. It happened suddenly. I didn't expect you to start a live broadcast here. The real ring is at home. At the mention of this, I suddenly reacted. How the hell do you know about my live stream? Griffith Grote ripped her hair and exploded her vest. I'm your first fan. I was shocked. What? That little sister of the English alphabet is you. Isn't she a woman? Griffith Grote was helpless. When did I say I was a woman? And that's Pinion. I didn't have time to be moved, but I suddenly saw the content of the chat between the two of us in the past 2 years, and I was immediately excited. You're not a woman, so you popularized the precautions of my aunt with me, and talked to me about the color of my underwear. Griffith Grote looked at me with a smirk. My choice of color is pretty good, I said. Why do you keep talking to my boyfriend? I thought you were a love brain, and you intercede with yourself in a different way. Then whether you marry or not. Griffith Grote pulled out the black ring of unknown material, and knelt down on one knee in front of me. My heart beat faster, and I realized that the ring had been improvised with surgical threads. Looking at the inferior suit he was wearing, he should know that I was going to broadcast live, and temporarily rent it for the wedding photography at the door. Right. With a smile in my eyes, I proudly stretched out my hand, and when I put the ring on, I suddenly remembered Sybil Noah, the initiator. I have to seek revenge on her. I don't seem to see Sybil Noah in the past month. Griffith Grote's eyes darkened, and she said lightly, she's too much of an eyesore. I contacted a foreign company and recommended her. I won't be able to come back in 3 years or 5 years. My expression froze. 2 years ago, there was a senior who was fanatically chasing me, and it seems that he also went abroad. Griffith Grote nodded. Well, the two of them are one company. If it weren't for Sybil Noah's stupidity, she didn't pass the 6th grade exam a few times, and you wouldn't have seen her a year ago. I was horrified. A year ago, I had an avid fan, who gave me sports cars and flowers every day, and then suddenly disappeared. Griffith Grote scoffed. His company evaded taxes and went bankrupt. The cheese that I grew up with, the two of us. The one I said I wanted to marry him. Won't it be your? Griffith Grote's face sank. Do you miss him so much? I waved my hand and giggled twice. Compared to Griffith Grote, my way of pinching peach blossoms is like a child's house. Bread. I think we're still young. Or will we get married 2 years later? Griffith Grote shoved the fake belly in her hand into my arms, and looked at me grimly. Isn't it too late to want to run until the children are born? I shook my fake belly. It's fake. Are you too deep into the play? Griffith Grote tugged at the corners of her mouth and hugged me up. I hate that's fake. Then wait for the certificate to be obtained, and go home immediately to give birth to a real person. Griffith Grote hugged me and left, and the camera brothers had to follow, and they were scared back by Griffith Grote's look. I reached out my hands for help to the camera brothers, and was ruthlessly pushed back by Griffith Grote. The live broadcast was forced to be terminated, and the director saw that the audience was crazy. So he made a preview. The married life of a stupid and cute beautiful girl, and a scheming black forensic doctor is about to start. Special guests. Cheese. Stay tuned. The end.